Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another commentary being done by myself, Moltrap, and as well, I have Klazard alongside. We're going to be doing a duel here on the set between Much and FireBatHero, and this is from, as you can see right on the screen there, World Cyber Games 2008. This is basically the qualifying tournament that goes on in Korea to determine who is going to represent Korea in the World Cyber Games. And the World Cyber Games, for those of you who haven't heard, basically worldwide esports tournament. There's various games. Of course, we only care about the StarCraft tournament, and traditionally won by the Korean representatives that go to the tournament. So it's kind of a big deal who goes to Korea because you're basically guaranteed a medal in
Yeah, I
StarCraft.
can't remember the last time there was a non-career winner.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been actually a StarCraft winner that was not Korean. And aside from that, we also have this matchup is kind of a little bit of a rematch between Much and FireBatHero, who met in the MSL, and Much destroyed and humiliated FireBatHero, so he's going to be looking to get some get back here.
Yeah, FireBatHero has a long history with CJ just because of his antagonizing of Savior when Savior was on his way down, and he humiliated Savior on numerous occasions with his ceremonies. And unfortunately, even though Savior's had numerous shots at him, he just has a weak spot for FireBatHero. Has never been able to beat him, never been able to get his own back, and it was actually Much who got his own back on Savior's behalf, humiliating him. So there's no love lost between these two guys, and there's probably a lot more at stake here than a simple win or loss, and then even then progression. I would say to these two guys, beating each other means more than just progressing through to the next round. So we're bound to see all sorts of crazy shenanigans. This is being played on Andromeda, which is an interesting map for Protoss versus Terran, I would say. Zerg players, I think, have a harder time on this map. I don't think it's going to be as difficult for Protoss versus a Terran player, although this is a map that Terran players can expand much more comfortably on and can defend themselves much more comfortably on. But it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy Much goes for, whether he tries to go for some sort of a DT rush or something like that to catch his opponent off guard, which we've seen work against Terran players on this map, because Terran players can overexpand and get caught off guard by that.
Yeah, we have seen that work a few times. For some reason, I don't remember which game it was, but just recently I saw a game where that happened on this map. Unfortunately,
It was
I think
versus
it may have been
Nada.
Nada. Yeah, it was Nada. So I don't want to think about that anymore. But yeah, for those of you that didn't catch it, Much was the one who made the pylon heart with cannons in the middle against FireBatHero, by the way. So if you haven't seen that, you should look around for that. Much is scouting in the correct direction. He's getting, I was going to say an early scout, but it's not actually a pretty normal timed scout. FireBatHero, however, is delaying his scout until after his barracks, at least at this point. So Much is going to have some information on what FireBatHero is doing. Unfortunately, it is going to be difficult for him to keep that in there for a long time. I'm probably going to see a Marine come out and take that probe out before too much happens. But at least he knows where FireBatHero is here. By the way, just a little bit more background on the players as far as how they're matched up. Like I said, Much destroyed FireBatHero in the MSL. FireBatHero did take a game, but versus Protoss is basically known to be FireBatHero's main Achilles heel. He doesn't do very well against Protoss historically, so I think Much is probably favored in this matchup by history and by statistics. So it'll be interesting if FireBatHero can pull something out in this game.
Yeah, it looks like FireBatHero has got his first Marine out, but Much is sending a Zealot down to harass, and Much might be able to actually take... The problem for Much is he's sending that Zealot down, so he's not going to be able to actually stop FireBat. He's actually pulling the Zealot away to avoid the SCV, because he wants to get that Zealot in and get some harassing and kill a Marine or a couple of SCVs and just annoy FireBatHero. So he's actually going to be able to get that Zealot in, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult then for FireBatHero to actually stop the scout. FireBatHero actually has seen the Zealot coming, so he's pulling his Marine back while he pops a second Marine out. And looks like Much has got a second Zealot out on his ramp, but obviously that one Zealot is not enough to block the SCV. FireBatHero just managed to get the SCV through, and he's going to see what Much is up to. Meanwhile, Much coming in trying to kill the SCV, and this is going to be down to FireBatHero's defense. And FireBatHero doing a great job with the two Marines pulling a couple of SCVs off the line while he gets that factory up and running. So both players with pretty similar builds, both players with fairly techie builds starting up, and obviously the fact that FireBatHero has his SCV in Much's main is going to hurt Much more than that Zealot in FireBatHero's main would have hurt FireBatHero. FireBatHero actually taking no damage from that Zealot whatsoever and almost managed to kill it. So great micro by him there. And now his SCV's actually been forced out, it looks like, of Much's main. So it'll be interesting what sort of build Much goes for. Obviously FireBatHero is going to be reasonably prepared because he has gone for a tech build himself to start with.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by that micro on on FireBatHero's part, that was pretty good. He managed to pull away the Marine that was kind of being attacked, put the SCVs in the way, taking pretty much no damage there. He didn't even lose an SCV. He's got a lot of Marines going here. It looks like he's down to 2 SCVs on gas. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like there's only 2 SCVs. Usually you can tell early on if they've taken it down to 1 SCV on gas, then they're probably going to do some sort of FD Terran push, get an expansion. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some sort of rush build planned out, though, where he knows exactly how much gas he's going to need here. He's got a tank and again, 6 Marines. Usually with that kind of push, you won't see quite that many Marines. You'll see 4 Marines going, and he's researching something on the machine shop. So I'm expecting some kind of interesting rush to be going on here. Possibly a starport going down, or oh, he's just checking for proxies in his base or something. I thought he was going to plant a hidden building. But in the meantime, Much, however, getting a Citadel and a robotics facility, so it looks like we're probably going to see some sort of DT drop build from him. And there's no sign of an engineering bay or an academy or anything like that, so FireBatHero is going to have to do something if he's going to be ready for those cloaked Dark Templar. Oh, never mind, there's mines, so he's going to be able to deal with it with mines at the very least.
Yeah, I don't think actually that Much is going to go for DTs. I think he's probably not going to get the DT. Actually, no, wait, he will be going for a DT drop because he's got the robotics facility as well. Sorry, I don't know why my brain just shut down for a second there. But FireBatHero does have vultures and he does have spider mines as well. And I think I saw him plant a couple of spider mines in his base. He's just going to try and push up Much's ramp now, and that's where the advantage of the mineral only comes in. And Much doing a good job of trying to get the mines into FireBatHero's units, but FireBatHero pulled back as well. Second gateway going down for Much, just as the Templar Archives is going to pop out. And looks like FireBatHero is actually pulling his troops back because I think he expects a drop coming in from Much, and he realizes that he needs his army at home because if his army is away, he's going to have nothing to defend. Engineering Bay going up as well. I think that Engineering Bay will the turrets will probably be up in time if Much starts building them straight away. The only FireBatHero starts building them straight away, and FireBatHero already has a couple of spider mines on his ramp, but he doesn't have much in his main. He doesn't have much in his main, get it? But anyway, Much does have 3 Dragoons and a Zealot remaining. He did lose at 1 Zealot. Looks like FireBatHero pushing up again with a group of units, continue to try and do a harass, trying to intercept that shuttle which he expects, or trying to actually lay siege to that mineral expansion of FireBatHero's. But FireBatHero is being a little, off Much's. Sorry, I'm completely all over the place here today. But FireBatHero is a little bit and this is careless by Much. He's running straight over there. He had his units over the minerals, and he's going to lose the shuttle here. He managed to drop one of the DTs. The other DT is still on its way, and he's lost the element of surprise completely here because he's been forced to reveal that DT. He's going to stop the SCV from putting the turret down. He's got another DT in FireBatHero's main, and he actually might be able to do significant damage to FireBatHero there because as long as his DT doesn't actually follow the SCVs in, he might actually be able to do significant damage because I don't think FireBatHero has the turret up in his main.
Well,
oh, he does.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it either, but it looks like it did. The one Dark Templar looks like got taken out there. Another Dark Templar is still running around attacking the factory. I don't think it's going to do too much damage, though. It's almost dead from mines, and there's just another spider mine planted next to it. It's probably going to take it out here in just a minute. Well, no, he's going to have to plant yet more mines to take out that one Dark Templar. How many mines does it take to kill a Dark Templar? Apparently a ton. Oh, finally gets tracked down by that one random mine. So unlucky for Much there, although he couldn't have done too much good with that Dark Templar anymore anyway. By having the shuttle out, he is able to take that hidden expansion though, and that is probably going to be a big deal. As we've said in past games, as you said actually, Klazar, mostly in past games, I remember the dropship is not part of the usual Terran build, so it's going to be really difficult for FireBatHero to find a way to get to that expansion. He's going to have to go out of his way to get dropships in order to do that. Much is going to be able to take an economic advantage here. Much has 3 bases up already in the meantime, as a matter of fact. And if he gets that 4th base up as well, with FireBatHero just getting up his 3rd, I think that he'll be in a pretty strong position going into sort of the mid-game.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Much left his shuttle hovering there over the mineral only, probably to try and lure FireBatHero's units away. That mineral only Much's mineral only came under a little bit of fire from below from the vultures, but he managed to usher them away. So Much is in a decent position economically. The problem for him is that he went for the DT build and he didn't do any damage to his opponent. Although he did get that mineral only expansion up as well while he was going to a DT build. So it wasn't like straight DT drop rush. He obviously sacrificed some resources along the way to put that nexus down. So he isn't as far behind as he would have been. Although that being said, if he'd gone straight wait for the DT rush, he probably would have had those DTs out that little bit earlier, probably would have caught FireBatHero by surprise, and might have been able to deliver the crippling blow to him, like we saw done to Nada in the previous game that we saw on this map where that strategy was used. But the problem obviously is that, so on the one hand he's kind of in a better position in terms of his economy, but on the other hand the Terran player is in a very good position. FireBatHero is in a very strong position in terms of his economy. He's got his mineral only up now, he had his natural expo up, he's got his 2 gas running for a bit now, so he's going to be able to macro up. He's already getting his third and fourth factory up, third and fourth factory down, and I think that Much might find it a little bit difficult to resist when FireBatHero makes his big push.
Yeah, I think that's probably it depends on what kind of how he's going to be able to macro out his troops. I guess if he does get more factories up and he's able to put out more tanks and such, then he'll be in a good position. Terran's, of course, really good at defense. That's one of the reasons why this map is pretty good for Terran, because you can get those 3 bases and you can defend it all off of 1 choke. You've got ridges you can tank from if necessary, that sort of thing. It'll be interesting. He doesn't quite have his forces macroed up yet, though. I think Much is probably in a militarily advantageous position at the moment, but it is hard to tell. I haven't gotten a good look at FireBatHero's army, but it looks like he only has a few tanks at the moment. I'm not too certain. Much, in the meantime, has gone for, it looks like Arbiter. I think it's Arbiters. I actually haven't seen the Arbiter Tribunal because I wasn't paying attention.
No, it's up. Yeah, the Arbiter Tribunal is up.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So he's making Arbiters right now, so he's gone straight for that tank. It looks like Much is basically kind of settled with his 4 bases, and he's just going to macro off of those 4 bases and see if he can finish the game off with those 4 bases. Okay, never mind. I thought it was an expansion over on the right side, but it looks like one of FireBatHero's buildings is just floating around or something like that. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. Something is going on in the top right-hand corner. Someone might be looking to expand there.
Yeah, for the moment, it's just FireBatHero is just setting his spider mines out, just setting them around in the middle of the map to give him a little bit more scouting information. The problem for Much is that he doesn't have a lot of zealots, and a probe now look Much almost running into the spider mines, pulling those dragoons back in time, sending a probe towards the top right. He's managed to just try and he's just trying to curtail Much's movements, but FireBatHero's movements. But FireBatHero now looks like he's ready to make his push. Much has just got the zealots out. That was the problem that he had. He didn't have too many zealots. FireBatHero needs to coalesce his troops here. He's going into siege mode. He doesn't have anything to actually ward off that shuttle. He didn't build a single Goliath, unfortunately, because he didn't get that army up. And now those zealots are right, and this is going to be horrible for FireBatHero. He's going to get completely taken out. He just lost his entire army. He thought that Much had nothing, but Much had his zealots just pop out. Had FireBatHero made that push a little bit earlier, it might have been a little bit more effective, but he got completely caught off guard. He had nothing to counter the shuttle. The zealot bombs dropped right on top. The zealots closed in on the siege tanks, and now FireBatHero is in dire trouble because Much is going to be able to take control of this map. FireBatHero has set up some sort of a minor secondary defense with essentially spider mines and vultures. He's also trying to macro up, but Much just has such a large army on the ground. Those spider mines have been wiped away with. Much is going to FireBatHero really needs to get those siege tanks sieged and get more spider mines in front of them. Much trying to circumnavigate around FireBatHero trying to circumnavigate around Much's forces with the vultures and try and come at it from the rear. And looks like he's just about held his defense for now. And again, Andromeda might allow him to stay in the game, and he really shouldn't have. Zealots avoiding most of those spider mines. That would have been crucial if those zealots had been taken out. Now it looks like Much is going for the killing blow on FireBatHero's Natural Expo. FireBatHero doesn't have enough siege tanks really there, I think, to stop him, and he certainly doesn't have anything above the range. He's got a couple more siege tanks coming to siege now, but most of those zealots are already within range. Most of his forces are arrived. Those vultures didn't really arrive to join in the battle. He really could have used those vultures in front of those siege tanks there. He was just trying to run around the back and try and find spider mines. He's just about holding his ramp with vultures alone against those dragoons, so it looks like he's actually going to be able to hold this. So shockingly enough, FireBatHero's defense is just about going to be able to hold, primarily because the shorter supply route and he had a bunch of vultures popping out, but he's going to be in huge trouble nonetheless. Arbiter in play obviously for Much. FireBatHero has now got a siege tank out, but he carelessly leaves the siege tank in front of his vultures rather than sieging it up on the ridge. But he is going to be able to hold his defense here, but it's going to be difficult for him to win this game now, I definitely feel.
Yeah, FireBatHero is definitely in huge trouble here. He's just lost his whole army twice in a row. And critically, I think the main reason that happened is you notice he had a ton of vultures running around running around the map, but they weren't near the tanks. So, I mean, it was ridiculous. You saw all those tanks get completely surrounded, absolutely slaughtered by zealots and dragoons, and then a minute later you see 24 vultures running away that were off, jerking around, planting mines somewhere on the map instead of protecting the tanks. So that wasn't a very smart move on FireBatHero's part. And then again, when Much is invading his front door. His vultures again are running around and they show up a little bit late to the fight. So FireBatHero losing his whole army twice. He has a crap ton of factories though, so he is going to be able to macro back up decently well here. I think it's still theoretically possible he could come back, but he has to win the next battle decisively, really decisively, if that's going to happen, because it's always possible for a Terran, I mean, just to get a really good volley of siege tanks off and just absolutely obliterate a Protoss army pretty quickly. But so if he macros up 7, 8, 9, 10 tanks or something like that and really gets a good battle going on, then he could do something. But it is looking difficult for him. It looks like doing a little bit of sieging off of. No, never mind. Yeah, oh yeah, he is sieging. He was sieging Much's base a little bit there, and that's the kind of harassment he needs to try and do. I don't think he's going to be able to get in with just vulture harassment, but critically, he's also taken the 9 o'clock expansion. It looks like. So if he stasis going off over basically half of his tanks, more than half of his tanks now. A scout coming in there as well. Oh my goodness, Much as a pylon heart was not enough to humiliate FireBatHero. Much has to come in with a scout as well, and all of those Goliaths are stasis, so the scout is running around picking out vultures and everything, and it looks like this 9 o'clock expansion might not go up after all. FireBatHero doesn't even cancel it, so he's probably going to lose that command center. So now I think that there's not much of a way that FireBatHero can come back in this, assuming that Much goes up and finishes off those troops when they come out of stasis. This is looking really bad for FireBatHero.
Yeah, the scout is just laying salt into the wounds, just rubbing it in right down to the bone. And now those units are going to come out of stasis and get picked off. Arbiters carelessly coming in within range of the Goliaths, but the Goliaths get taken out, and now the Scout hammering with tanks. But I think there's a couple of things. I think, first of all, FireBatHero actually didn't have enough macro. He didn't have enough army when he actually made that push versus Much. Much had more units than FireBatHero anticipated, and what made the difference was that last line of Zealots that popped out of his gateways. He had like 8 Zealots pop out, and that was what made the difference. Before that, I was worried because Much didn't have a lot of Zealots to hold defense if FireBatHero should push up against him. But FireBatHero seemed to delay the push because obviously he didn't have enough units either. I think the key there, I think FireBatHero did bring all of his vultures that he had initially in front of those tanks. I just think he just didn't have enough in that battle to actually help his tanks, and they just got taken out very quickly. But I think the key and a second scout out and 3 or 4 arbiters along with a couple of scouts. FireBatHero's defense just about holding, but he's so far behind in this game now that it's ridiculous. He really needed to be putting pressure on the Protoss players. 9 o'clock expansion died as well, so he's just nowhere in this game right now. We're Much continuing to macro up, and he's got 2 Stargates, I think, probably pumping arbiters. I wouldn't be surprised if he just, or maybe actually pumping scouts just to humiliate his opponent even further. And FireBatHero continues to suffer at the hands of Much, just the way Savior suffered at the hands of FireBatHero. So I have no sympathy for FireBatHero. It has to be said, I have 0 sympathy for him here. But I think it was actually Much's build that was quite inventive, because even though he went for a DT drop rush, he did kind of take time out to put that mineral-only Nexus down. And I think that's what allowed him to have the economy to get the units out to actually be able to combat FireBatHero on the ground when that push came. Otherwise, if he'd gone straight for a DT rush, drop rush, and it failed, then he should have really been far behind in his economy, and that's, I think, what FireBatHero was banking on. Maybe he didn't realize, I mean, he saw the Nexus on the mineral-only line, but maybe he didn't realize how early that Nexus went up, because he wasn't actually able to get up that ramp and get into Much's base and really get that scout off. But he did have the floating racks there, so I'm not sure how much information FireBatHero had. What I'm trying to essentially say here is that I think FireBatHero didn't realize how early that Nexus actually went up, and therefore when he made his push, he exposed himself a little bit earlier than he would have, not realizing that Much would have had a larger force on the ground.
That's interesting. Yeah, with FireBatHero, sorry, I'm just laughing at the scouts and everything. This might be the final battle here, going in. Stasis going off over 7/8 of FireBatHero's tanks. Actually, I could probably reduce it to an exact fraction here. He only has like 10 tanks total, and the other 2 that aren't stasis get just taken out very quickly. Cloak scouts going in here. Scouts, by the way, my favorite unit. 4 scouts now, the most scouts I've ever seen in a pro game at one time. and Templar to boot, all up in FireBatHero's natural base here. There's the GG from FireBatHero. So Much is going to take game 1, and yeah, the humiliation continues, and I don't have any sympathy for FireBatHero either. He's had it coming.
Yeah, as I said, if you leave the curtains open and you know, change your clothes, don't complain if people tell you you're not good looking. Anyway.